Martial arts schools across the country are starting to reopen. What does that look like? We're going to be going over that in today's video. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, 1-inch punch the bell notification, and give this video a thumbs up. My name's Sifu John Wanish, and I've been teaching the art of Wing Chun Kung Fu now for nearly 3 decades. I've owned martial arts schools from Florida all the way up to New York City, so I can relate to what's going on from the perspective of a martial arts school owner, an instructor, and students as well. So we're going to talk about what's happening. None of this will be medical advice. You need to follow what's best for you, but we're going to be talking about the state of affairs in regards to martial arts schools starting to reopen across the country. As you know, here in the United States, this is all done on a state-by-state basis. Some states are currently still shut down, some are open and haven't shut down, and some are opening up in phases. All these guidelines are being set by the governor of each state. So we're going to dig into this right now, and we're going to take a look at a few things that are going on across the country. Here's a playbook I found for reopening your martial arts school in this current environment, and they give 5 points for reopening your gym. The first one is social distancing and capacity control. So that's limiting the space between students within the facility and limiting the number of students that enter a school. Number 2 is testing and contact tracing. I don't think there's any way for any martial arts school owner across the country to provide testing, let alone contact tracing, but they did mention checking people's temperature before they enter the school. And we all know that there's an issue with that, as you can be an asymptomatic carrier, meaning you contain the virus, you don't have a temperature, but you could be a spreader of the virus. So checking people's temperature is only so effective. Sanitation and protective equipment, that's cleaning the space after each class, making sure all the equipment is clean and you're providing a safe, clean facility. Member communication and education, that is reviewing all the current guidelines with all your students, making sure everybody understands the social distancing, the class capacity restrictions, and all the guidelines that have been set for the environment, and protecting at-risk members. And the best way to protect at-risk members is probably to keep them at home. So this is just a simple 5-point guideline that was provided.
By Governor Burgum. We have 100 square foot squares for each student to be in. So if anyone ever moves in their square, everyone's moving at the same time. So we're all maintaining not only a 6-foot distance like you are at stores, we're maintaining a 10-foot distance at all times in between students. And then we clean the mats after every class. So we do one class and then we'll sweep right away and then mop. We have a 10-minute gap in between classes to allow students to filter in and out. So there's less.
All right, so here at this school, they are creating a 10-foot distance between you and your partner, no contact of any kind, and they are allowing 10 minutes to clean the facility in between classes. 10 minutes, if you ask me, is not enough time to create distance between the incoming class and the exiting class. It's not enough time to properly clean a facility. And I know this is difficult. I'm just stating some facts here. We're not really prepared as martial arts school owners to professionally clean and disinfect a facility, let alone in 10 minutes. Here you see a gentleman mopping the floors, but he's barefoot, and as he's crossing the mat from one end to the next, if he has the virus clearly on the mat, he picked it up on his feet, and even though once he gets to the end, the mat is clean, now he is dragging the virus across the facility. It's just a really challenging thing to do, especially in a 10-minute time frame. Let's hear from this MMA gym owner.
Disinfect, went through this whole place with bleach, and I want to be very clear. It's not that I believe that you can stop a respiratory infection, because, like, let's be honest, if we cleaned your home today to the fullest degree, we got rid of it. If I came in there sick tomorrow, I could infect you. Like, you're trying to minimize risk. As you can see going on in the background right now, they're mopping the mats again. When you walked in, you witnessed them wiping everything down. We're doing as much as we can, but again, there's a certain amount of risk you can eliminate in life, and there's a certain amount of risk you cannot eliminate in life. We are going to try to do our best. Like I've openly said to everyone that walks through the door, if you want to wear PPE or gloves or anything, please do what you feel keeps you safe. Or if you're super concerned, don't come here.
So here's an MMA school owner who understands the situation at hand. He's done his research. He's doing the best he can to keep his facility clean. And he understands there's no way to guarantee that he's 100% eliminated the virus from this environment. He wants students to come and feel as safe as possible, wear whatever gear they have. And if you are at high risk, he's recommending that maybe you shouldn't come. You have to do what's best for you.
Resume training.
One will stand there. One will stand down here.
At the beginning of each class at Borowitz Black Belt Academy, owner David Borowitz says these students will line up on these dots to ensure social distancing.
So everybody, whether we have a class of 9 or 10 or 12 people, they're all turning in the same direction, so they're all staying equidistant from one another.
So this appears to be probably a kids program, and what he's doing is throwing down those dots on the floor to create an environment where everybody knows where to be standing. They're all going to be facing in the same direction. They also mentioned that parents would not be allowed to observe the class, just to limit the amount of people inside the facility.
This is the first day that students are allowed back in the building here at Martial Arts USA, but the owners were disappointed last week when they learned that they would only be allowed to do one-on-one lessons.
Nice.
So this martial arts school in Springfield, Missouri is limited to one student at a time. Now, it's incredibly difficult for martial arts instructors to make a living in a great environment, let alone a situation like this. I'm not sure if the students have to pay private lesson rates or if this is part of their monthly rate. But to be able to spread out enough, if you have a large school where you can only do one student at a time, you're really spreading the instructor very thin and making it next to impossible for this school to get by. There's no reason they couldn't have a few students in the school socially distanced apart, wearing a mask if they're not allowed to do any contact. You can see how spaced apart he is from his student. Clearly, airflow and situations like this in schools are, an issue, and that's probably why they're limiting it to one student at a time. But if they're going to have the instructor there and a student there, I don't see why they couldn't maybe make it a few more students at a time. It's just a really rough environment, and this is an example of one state and what they're doing to allow schools to open.
Arts School in Durham is going against city and state stay-at-home orders. The facility in Durham is not supposed to open. Yes, they reopened at 5 o'clock, and a class is well underway out here right now. If you'll take a look, that placard's out to make sure everyone is 6 feet apart.
Oh, yeah, we got people at 10, 11, 12.
So here in Durham, North Carolina, they're not allowed to be open yet until phase 2, but yet this martial arts school owner is defying the order to do what he can to get his business back in business. And by having his classes outdoors and having everybody spaced apart, this is probably one of the safer environments. Training outdoors, clearly in the open air space, is going to be the safest place to go with a respiratory virus. And he's having people spaced apart, making sure people still are following guidelines such as washing their hands, and doing everything he can to provide a safe environment, although he's putting himself at risk, as we've seen gym owners getting arrested for defying such guidelines. So let's take a look at what's happening at this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in Tyler, Texas.
Jiu-Jitsu at Gracie Baja here in Tyler, and when I saw the governor's new regulations for opening gyms back up, I was wondering, how the heck are you supposed to train martial arts while staying 6 feet away from each other? So I reached out to some of the local gyms in the area, and here's what I found out.
Each student needs to be 6 feet apart. Don't shake hands. Don't touch each other.
Tosha Santos says at his Gracie Baja Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym in Tyler, students will sign up online for smaller classes in which strict 6-foot regulations and cleanliness policies will be enforced.
Okay, we're gonna.
So as you can see, this is a challenging time for everybody. Instructors are trying to do what they can across the country to keep their schools open, provide a safe environment for their students, and follow state guidelines. It's very interesting times, and I'll follow up more on this as things progress. Now, if you didn't know, I have an online program, and many others do as well. So this might be a great time to take advantage of online Kung Fu training, as if you're going to be in a school and you're not allowed to work out with anybody anyways, you can get some great instruction in the privacy of your own home and then maybe get together with a partner, somebody you know, you trust, maybe a family member you've already been on lockdown with, but somebody who's been following the same stringent guidelines as yourself, and therefore you can work with them in a safe environment. You've limited your exposure to others, and you're able to get quality instruction and have a good partner and get back into some real Kung Fu, martial arts, whatever kind of training you're doing, whatever, you know, there's tons of arts out there. So whatever you're doing, you can kind of get back into that groove and keep things going. Thank you for joining me today. Leave me your thoughts, your opinions, your comments. I'd love to hear what's going on with you. And I hope to see you soon. Once again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, 1-inch punch that bell notification, give this video a thumbs up, and I hope you and yours are safe and well, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Take care.